evening. This is my final reflection, response number 16, and I thought in lieu of all of my reflections, I would do another video. I've loved this course, and there's been a lot of amazing things that I've really taken away. I wrote some notes. Okay, so we talked about the what in your video that I watched about kind of going over the course, Freire and all of the people that we read, the videos we watched, Yo-Yo Ma, Lugo, all of these amazing people, Lily, all of the people. It's been amazing. And we talked about this idea of how knowledge flows and how to have an open and receptive classroom. And I've really loved the reading. Again, Roberto Lugo was someone that really impacted me. That his story, I think, really is in correlation with a lot of my students and the lives that they lead. And so his art and his process has been really inspiring me in my classroom and how I look at things and how I view things and view art in general. So then we have the so what. So what's been happening in my classes is that based on this course alone, I can say I always embraced a certain level of mild chaos because I'm an arts teacher. But I think I've done a lot better job in the listening component of my job in relationship to this course. I've listened to what the knowledge of the students is, and I've done a better job of doing an asset of their strengths and in utilizing their strengths in the classroom setting and in the school setting and in the community setting much better than I did before, I feel like. Specifically in my Arts in Action project with West Valley, it's getting a lot of attention from the principal, and to make a long story short, the superintendent of schools is coming to Granger, and the principal wants to show our devised piece that we did based on West Valley and the students' response. And so that's feeling really good in relationship to, I find that my pedagogy is even more community-based meaning in the classroom as a community. So cultivating that community and then letting that community branch out into the school and into the actual community of West Valley, which has been great. So that makes me go to the now what of things. And I think that's letting go of the fear of things and just making sure that I am embracing what that means in relationship to being an educator and not being afraid of new ideas or, I teach my classroom this way, but really being able to embrace like failure and branching out in with my students and basically all I have to offer is, hey, let's create things with our ideas. What are yours? Here's some I have. Here's the practices of the art form that I can offer. What are your ideas in creating? And how can I bring that to fruition and make that a palpable learning experience for everyone. I think that another part of the now what is realizing that my role as an educator is this beautiful identity as being a facilitator of creating things, of really understanding the goal of my students is to not make them, the end goal is to not make them all Broadway stars. The end goal is to make them active community participants utilizing the vehicle that is the arts. Mine happens to be theatrical in nature, but it's been beautiful to combine visual art and the dancing and the music with the theater to really do these integrated experiences of everyone moving together. And I've really loved all the resources I've gotten in your book, as well as in all of the readings. I've highlighted a bunch of things, and I've gotten a bunch of lesson plans, and I've done a bunch of amazing things that are really helpful. And so I'm really, really grateful for all of the resources that I've gained. And I think, if anything, my role as an educator is to be a lifelong learner and to never get caught in my rut as a teacher. And I think that can be a safe zone. It can be a safe zone to be like, well, I have these things that I do because they're safe and they're easy and students respond. But instead to be like, hey, the goal is to make creators and lifelong learners and expressors of these children as they grow into adults, and to not be afraid to embrace the fact that that never looks the same, to embrace the fact that I can always find new ideals of people who are making a difference in their community, and that I can be inspired by those things in my own learning process and encourage my students to find that process that they're learning in their everyday life and bring it into the classroom, and to create art that fosters literacy and fosters connection and fosters social emotional learning. And so all of those things, like, you really inspired me to be myself to the best of my ability in my education classroom with my educator hat on, but also to remember that ideally it's that craving for community that artists really embrace. And I really try, and I really believe in that. I believe that my students' voices matter, and as long as that's my fundamental goal, that creating matters with these kids, that I think beautiful things will continue to sprout in the lives of the West Valley community, in my own life, hopefully, and that of my students, to be willing to be adaptable, to be open to change and creation in my pedagogical practices, and all of those kinds of things. So yeah, it's been a pure joy. And I've loved the class. I love that I'm going away with an arsenal of highlighted resources and books that I read, and then articles I printed off. I have a nice little 6200 binder that keeps me company in my office. And so I feel gratitude for the resources. And the now what is just realizing that there luckily is not an end to refining this craft called teaching. And I'm grateful that I get to keep doing it, and that I love it. And I appreciate your insight into it, and feeling the joy that you have. I've been appreciative of your warm, thoughtful comments to me as a student. And that's also been a good model for me to make sure I'm giving warm, positive, relatable feedback to my students as well. So I want to thank you for this course, for all that has been learned and gleaned and discussed here, and for what I take forward. It has been a true honor.